All right, welcome back to Sofa King's channel. Joined along by my good friend and MMA enthusiast, Steven Shred. Steven, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Good. Just work, man. Fucking killer. Got back from the stadium around 11, and it's 11:30 or so. Got done settling in, and now we're making the video because there's some things to talk about, and I know you really wanted to talk about some stuff today. So I think let's just
Yep.
get right into it, and let's talk about Francis Ngannou and the news that came out today that One Championship is ceasing to make any more offers. So I'll let you go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, they put out today that normally when you're doing the rounds, you put in the final offer, and that bid is where you decide whether it's a go or not. One Championship said that they're not even going to do that. They said they're done, they're walking away, and they wish him the best. Which, based on them saying that, based on Bellator not taking him, and it seems everywhere else. I mean, I won't really get into bare knuckle because I feel like bare knuckle wouldn't have that kind of money anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really seems to me, being that we see him hanging out with dudes like Deontay Wilder, he's talking to Mike Tyson, he's got this back and forth with Tyson Fury. He's talking to too many boxers that make too much money. We're talking the last payout that Deontay Wilder got was 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that is more money than anybody is willing to shell out from any of these organizations. And then we get to the offer that the UFC gave him to fight John Jones, which Francis says is around 8 million.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that. So
So
that seems to be the number kind of floating around Google, especially.
yeah, so I'm assuming that maybe he asked for a little bit more than that, because if we're looking at Mighty Mouse and Eddie Alvarez, supposedly One Championship gave them 8-figure deals. So I don't think he's just asking for the 8 million. I think he's asking for somewhere maybe like
Eight figure or
12,
seven figure?
13 million.
Because I think eight figures puts him in the billionaire spot.
It said 8. I thought 8 was because 6
Am I
is
bad
like
at
in the hundred
math?
thousands. Yeah, that's like 10 million.
No, but you know what? Going along with that, okay. So
Mm,
let's say the UFC offers him 8 mil.
yeah,
So in that 8 mil contract, we know that they wanted him to fight John Jones, and it was a three fight contract or 3 year, I think, whichever
yeah,
came first, um, with no extensions. He decided to leave, test free agency, and it is easy to say that I don't think the free agency experiment's working. He bet on himself, and a lot of professional athletes should bet on themselves, especially at such a high level. The problem that I have with Francis asking for this much is that he doesn't have the it factor in the American market, where one FC is they desperately need it, right? They have the Amazon deal. They are spending a lot of money on these guys. You know, they're they seem to be burning through a lot of money, and I don't know if one is willing to burn more money on a fighter that has been difficult to work with. In just the negotiation phase. What happens when they give him a fighter he doesn't want to fight? You know
true.
what I mean? Then what happens to all that money that you just invested? What happens to the American market that you're so desperately looking for? And look, the longer this goes on, the lower his stock is going to be. He's going to continuously drop, and people are going to continually give him lower and lower offers until he finally says, okay, I need it because I need to pay the bills. I'm sure he has maybe some money saved, but he wants to be with the boxers and he wants to be with the highest paid guys. Well, the highest paid guys have some pretty expensive bills, and
Yep.
they're finding ways to pay it. Deontay Wilder's still getting fights. Tyson Fury's still getting fights, but I'm not hearing about them getting a fight with Francis Ngannou. That's the big thing, and we know ONE FC can throw on like really cool events where you have 4 ounce Muay Thai. You can do straight up just grappling events with Mikey Bushimi out there, right? You can do just a straight up boxing fight. I don't think we've seen that yet from ONE FC. We've seen them do mixed rules with DJ and Rod Tang, which I
Yeah,
don't know why they don't do that more often. I thought that was fucking awesome.
that would
Now,
be amazing.
I don't know if that just is bad because it shows the glaring obviousness in MMA versus Muay Thai, which is the grappling. It is the big thing that changes everything. But for Francis, for him to change everything, I mean, he's got to lower his price point, right? I mean, 8 mil from the UFC.
Yeah.
Who in the UFC is making 8 mil right now? No one, right? Because he would have been the highest paid athlete in the organization.
And he would have been the highest paid heavyweight in heavyweight history.
And here's the thing. The heavyweight division is awful. I'm sorry.
It definitely is.
Like 35, those are the killers. If you gave 35s the same weight as the heavyweight guys, holy crap, there would be nothing stopping them from taking over the world just because of how like good, how strong, how athletic they are. So I'm not I'm not on the side of Francis anymore. I really was for a bit because, you know, you had the fighter pay issue, and I think it was a buzzword that got a lot of people, to include myself. You know, I'll admit that here right now. But now it's like, you know what? Daddy Dana was right. He's probably difficult as shit to work with. And like you said, around too many high-level boxers where the money just is not the same at all. Moving on, Mike Perry going against Luke Rockhold at the Bare Knuckle Boxing event, which seemed to have sparked a lot of people's interest. And, you know, some people like Eddie Alvarez, Conor McGregor coming out saying that this could be the next big thing. And it feels nice. Like, it feels really cool to be here in its infancy stage. Mike Perry putting on a performance, though, against Luke Rockhold, breaking his teeth. I don't know if Luke Rockhold has a broken jaw or anything, but he said he's like, screw that. Like, I got a busted lip. My teeth are all dented in. It's not, you know, and he's a Ralph Lauren model, or was a Ralph Lauren model or something like that. Was going on dating shows.
Yeah, at one point at least.
Mike Perry was made for this. He was an average MMA fighter, right? Could hang in there with a lot of pros. And I'm not saying you know, but when it comes to bare knuckle boxing, you can tell the difference in the experience that even just having one fight, it matters, right? Because it's so much different getting hit with just fist, which is bone.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and there's fighters, there's people that fight, right? Like they become professional fighters, and then there's people that are just born to fight. They've been scrapping their entire fucking life. Mike Perry's that dude. I don't know who you give him next. He's a free agent now too, actually.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that you know, he's seemingly done with the sport, I would say a great person to try out bare knuckle, I think, would have been Jorge Masvidal. I mean, it's not like he hasn't done it before.
Do you think that the lifespan would allow Masvidal to have the same type of career that he did inside of the octagon? Because here's the thing, Masvidal had a resurgence like you don't normally get to see at 170.
Yeah,
you know, it's such a tough young man's division.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like after the fact.
Because even now, I don't know if he wants that. That's.
I mean, like, you know, if he wasn't so done with everything, if he was still keeping up with everything, because based off the last fight, it didn't really seem like Masvidal was fully in.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't look as clean and sharp as he would have like maybe a couple years ago. But I think he would have been real interesting, especially since it feels like the fighters who just have like a little bit left to give have been the ones to try out bare knuckle. But I think the biggest issue with bare knuckle is the safety thing. I mean, we have had 2 people die in bare knuckle, specifically bare knuckle champion or fighting championship. It is right.
2 people already? Where?
One of them was a heavyweight not too long ago. I think last year, and then they had somebody before that.
Oh, I just accidentally hit you. Hold on, let me. Okay.
They had 2 people die from their injuries that they sustained in the fights. So figuring out the safety issue would be the biggest blockade right now, because that is going to keep a lot of the bigger names out of it. And definitely going to be alarming to the general populace, because, a lot of people still see UFC and MMA as a whole as like, uncivilized. But bare knuckle, when you got people actually dying, I think that's going to be a big issue.
So my thing is this: is that it's not just bare knuckle boxing that's had deaths; it's also boxing too, right?
True.
Like we've seen. So what I'm looking at is Justin Thornton. Looked like he died a couple weeks after suffering a knockout loss. This was at Bare Knuckle 20. They said Bare Knuckle FC issued a statement to MMA Fighting following news that Thornton had passed away several weeks after his fight in Bare Knuckle in 20 in Mississippi. Reports state that Thornton was partially paralyzed after the fight, and he remained hospitalized for several weeks after the event took place, while also fighting off an infection from a spinal cord injury. Prior to his fight, Thornton was a mainstay on the mixed martial arts scene, including his highly publicized bout against Titan FC COO Lex Mahan. So it's not just that, but it's also boxing too, right? And I think every time fighters go in there, I think a lot of them understand that risk. I'm not saying that that it's okay to have these deaths, but in a sport where you can get kneed in the face, then taunted while you're flatlined, a la Jorge Masvidal, and
Yeah.
And then go on after and be like, yeah, it was super necessary.
Yeah. Well, my main thing is not the danger that's presented in itself. It's the optics, because we're talking about the next big thing.
Yes.
Optics are key. And when you're talking a very young promotion in comparison to the others, and you've already got deaths, not the best look for something that could possibly be the next big thing. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about, just the optics alone.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, a lot of the fighters that are being successful in there, Mike Perry, for instance, I feel like there is a view on it where it's like, oh, if you're not very good at MMA, you just go there. That kind of like,
and
I feel like that kind of optic is there
so
too.
that's so far from the truth that it hurts. You know what I mean? Like
It is, but the optics,
no, I get it. I get it, but I don't want to, like, I'm not here to discuss optics. I want to discuss what's actually happening. And I get it, because here's the thing. The UFC had to go through the same, or they had to go through hoops, right, when they were first coming out, and it was being referred to as human cockfighting. And oh my God, I can't believe you guys would allow fighting, da da da. Even though boxing has been going on for years. Wrestling, it's an ancient sport. It's you have had people fighting, whether it's in the cage or not. And I would rather have people fight inside of a ring, of a cage with a ref, rather than some jackass who decides to fuck with the dude who's been going to Muay Thai for 20 fucking years. You know what I mean? And he decides, to hit back against a dude who doesn't have any training, kicks him in the face, whatever, because there's no ref there to stop it. In bare knuckle, I think the optic that you're talking about with fighters like, oh yeah, I can just go over there, it's not going to be any harder, right? Look at Paige Van. She was average at MMA, and she's gonna probably be average in bare knuckle boxing. Do you want to know why? Because fighters like Beck Rawlings, fighters like Mike Perry, Ben Rothwell, Rothwell. Those people are scrappers and just like to fight. I don't know if Connor actually hops in. Right, we saw him wearing the belt. Right, we saw him do the face off. Which, who gives that man a belt?
Yeah, I feel like it's just that like meme video that came out a while back. Like Connor just running around everywhere trying to take everyone's belts. Like you see Connor there, you just kind of give him a belt, and you're just like, this will look cool, right?
Give me a belt. That's actually hilarious. Yes, no, So my thing is this, okay? You have Mike Perry, who I think if you're Bare Knuckle, you put him as the face, right? Like that's your guy. Like you're trying to re-sign him. You're gonna give him a good chunk of change to fight. Maybe 3 fights, 3 4 fight contract. Nothing crazy, but enough to keep him there for a bit. I don't think Mike Perry should stay there for a long time. I think he should make his money and go. Only because I like you said, from the optics, I do want to see where the injury reports are coming from, and I want to see how much this is affecting people differently than gloves, because we always hear about how, well, gloves are more for the fighter's protection than it is the the opponent, and it's like, is it now? Because we can see some differences in this. You know what I mean? We can see damage.
Yeah.
We can see that it affects people totally different, to include Luke Rockhold, and he was never ready. But my question for you is this: is Connor the only person that can actually go around wearing a belt that isn't his? Because that seems to just be his thing, right?
Yeah, because everybody still thinks of him as champ. So I feel like it's not like a disrespectful thing for him to just be carrying belts around all the time. I almost feel like it's just like the accessory. It's like the Connor accessory. It's just like, oh yeah, this dude has belts. Well, bam, go take a picture with this one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would you want to see Connor in bare knuckle?
probably not, honestly, because
You're not
I
interested
just
at all?
I would watch it. Would
So that
I
means you're
push for
interested,
it
right?
and like
Okay, fair. Okay, I get you saying.
yeah, like would I push for it? Would I be like, this is what we need to see happen? Like, would I make an entire thing on it? No, not really. Because we get into the next subject. You know, as far as fighting goes, I don't think Connor's been taking anything seriously. He's got the Ultimate Fighter going on right now with Michael Chandler, who Michael Chandler, say what you will, he is very serious about competing. He is still very serious about wanting to be a UFC champion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like Connor is, and Connor's his next opponent, which I mean, we see him at Bare Knuckle. Looks like he's drinking, looks like he's having a good time, doing whatever. Doesn't look like he's been concentrating on much else. We see him at the Davis Garcia fight last week. Same thing. He seemed blasted out of his mind in the video of him with Ryan Garcia.
Yeah,
And every time we see Connor pop up somewhere, he's just blitzed out of his mind. So it's like, where's the discipline? Where's,
it's hard.
him looking like he's in extreme fighting shape? Like,
It's hard to train when you're living in silk sheets. You know, there's
very true.
it's with Connor, and to go back to optics. You know, I just said I want to talk about optics, but looking at the
Yeah.
optics, yeah, he's not. It doesn't look like he's. It doesn't look like he's ready for a fight. And it's funny. I don't know if you heard like the Chael Sonnen quote going around. Someone needs to tell. Someone needs to tell Chandler that he's not going to have an opponent. Their fight isn't set up. The only thing that is done is filming for Ultimate Fighter. That's it.
Yeah.
Now the two winners are just getting ready for their fight for whenever that's coming up. I'm assuming July, right? They usually do it during fight week. Or
Yeah.
no?
They've been talking International Fight Week,
So
which not that far off. That's 2
no, not
months.
not that far off at all. I need to think about if I really am going to get some tickets to go to that or not, because I haven't been to a fight week yet, and I hear it's a really cool fan experience, and I think that's something that I just want to experience at least once, even if it's going to probably be overpriced everywhere.
Yeah.
But for a week to live and digest MMA would be really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so that being said, I want to go ahead and move on to like a bonus topic that I had on social media. Kamaru Usman was taking some fan questions, and someone asked him about Hamzat versus him. Now, Usman likes that fight, and he said on social media that he would kind of want it. Yeah, that he wants that fight. Go ahead, Steven. Tell me what are your thoughts? Is this a fight we make? I mean, all the weight issues with Chimaev.
Well, I think there's two sides to that. One, the fan in me would enjoy it. I would love to see how Usman's grappling matches up with Chimaev's, because the whole thing, Chimaev's so extremely strong. He's, just dominant. And then Usman, we see the same thing. But then the other side of it, are they even going to let him fight at 170? Because I thought it was 185 or nothing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me says, like, yeah, like I would love that fight. As far as like fighters that Usman has not already beaten and would still get a ton of views, Chimaev's it. We don't really have anybody else in that division that isn't already setting up to be a contender or be fighting for the belt next.
You're talking 85, right?
Oh, I'm talking 70.
70? Oh, okay. So
Yeah, so
even
for
if
Usman,
Hamzat, okay, yeah.
yeah, so for Usman to fight somebody who he hasn't already beaten and that isn't already setting up to be a title contender, you know, Chimaev's it. Gets a ton of views. Usman puts a stamp on it, and he gets to get his argument for getting another shot at the title.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is Chimaev ever fighting at 170 again? Because, like you said, the weight issues. And then I distinctly remember Dana saying he's done with 170. He's going to be 185 now.
I also distinctly remember Dana saying that there would never be a woman fighting in the UFC. No. I understand your point. Here's the thing. I think Dana's been a lot more truthful as of late. I think he's been a lot more honest, which is refreshing. It's nice to hear him admit things like, hey, we're fucking up. Why did we have Brandon Royval on the prelims? Like,
Yeah.
this is that's a top contender. Like, what are we doing? That's a guy who does have a following. And right now, when it comes to Hamzat, man, because I'm looking at the 170, and you got Colby, who I just look, man. You were with me, a year and a half ago. I was defending Colby to the fucking end. I was a fan. Dog, he's pissing me the fuck off.
Colby's got that Francis problem right now.
No, he doesn't have that because he's on Dana's good side. I think that's how he's
like
getting that title shot. You don't think he's going to get it?
No, I feel like he's not going to be if the whole. Well, actually, no, never mind. I was going to say I feel like he's not going to be if the whole Edwards thing doesn't go through, but I think that just puts Edwards on Dana's bad side. So maybe Colby still stays in the good graces, but I think we are going to start seeing issues if Colby just keeps on saying no to everything. Because there's no way he's not getting offered things. There's no way. And
Absolutely.
he is 100% saying no.
I agree. Yes. Which is weird because he's a guy who, as much shit as we're giving him right now, he's a guy that stays ready. He has a really clean, healthy lifestyle. He doesn't party. He's constantly working out or coaching, right? So he's learning and he's constantly keeping his body up and going, but he only wants the belt because I think he sees an easy target in Leon, and I think the rest of 170 sees an easy target in Leon when he's not as easy of a champ. I think if we're looking at champs who are probably going to get beaten next, I mean Jamal Hill is right there.
Yeah,
I think 205 is probably going to see a new champ really soon.
100% agree with you.
Alexa Grasso, she's going to be the underdog on the next fight, but I think she actually still takes it. I think she's going to surprise a lot of people. Hamzat and Kamaru, I mean, yes, whoever wins that fight should be almost next in line. The problem is that you have Bilal and Gilbert fighting this weekend, right?
Yes, we do.
And if Bilal wins, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, if Gilbert wins, what do you do? I'm so I just want to take a look at these wins here for Muhammad. So Bilal has a win over Sean Brady, Vicente Luque, Stephen Thompson recently, Damian Maia. He had There was that weird eye poke issue, right, with Leon.
With Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the Lima fight, right, which went to decision. Yeah, decision. It's it's tough. Gilbert Burns. I don't even know if he wins that fight. Just Bilal. Man, that division's so messed up. And I think we're starting to see a lot of issues with some of these divisions, especially at the higher ranks and some choke points. Other choke points I can argue right now, bantamweight. As many killers as they have, it does have some choke points. Song winning was nice though. That was a good win for him against Ricky Simone.
Yeah, that was one hell of a win too.
Yes,
Like
over
watching that, I was like, man, this is an insane fight. And then the finish happened. I was just like, wait, what?
and and I did you go back into the group chat when one of our buddies was talking? So we do have a mutual buddy in that chat that does train over at Alpha Male, and I did ask how he looked. I didn't want him telling me crazy information. I'm just like, hey, how does he look? And he said fast. Song looked fucking quick as shit, didn't he?
Yep. And I loved the Sean O'Malley call out after.
Perfect call out. I thought that was perfect.
Yep.
The problem is that who does not have a fight? Umar Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
That's
that would be an interesting matchup though.
How the cool thing about Song and his fight with Ricky was that when Ricky got touched, what did he default to? That wrestling, right? I mean, he was trying to stand and bang, but it just wasn't working.
Working out.
He was landing some good shots, though. He was landing some really good shots.
Yeah, just not as good.
Exactly. Song is so young and he's so strong.
That's always the issue. It's like we go tit for tat, but as soon as that level is just passed, it's like, okay, you know what? Let's go somewhere else.
Like, I don't see anyone taking the Umar fight in 135. You have Piotr, who just lost to Merab.
Yep. Very, very, very decisively too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and
like
now,
I didn't even know who I was watching.
And now people are like, well, shit, I don't want to fucking wrestle for fucking 5 rounds straight because Merab's he's probably a co-main or a main event, right? So it's either, okay, can I do 15 minutes of wrestling? Because that favors whoever is going against Merab. It just favors them. I don't see Sean O'Malley getting past Merab.
Definitely not. No. Rob doesn't play that game.
No. I think he'll trade to just get in, and that's about it. I think I don't think he wants to get hit by Sean, right? Sean still cracks very hard.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things, though. It's like that could be the difference between fighters who are dominant and fighters who get caught. Merab knows what he's good at, and he does it. He doesn't get it in his head. He's like, let's play your game a little bit, and then I'll get to my game. He's just like, oh, that's what you do? This is what I do.
Do you know who I'm going to if I have to face Merab? I'm going to Triple C. I'm going to him because he's honestly the greatest game planner, mastermind in all of MMA right now. I used to think it was Trevor Whitman, and for a minute it was, I think, because he had amazing fighters, right? I mean, he still has amazing fighters. He still has Kamaru, he still has Justin, he still has Rose, right? But we're starting to see either holes in the game or maybe a slowdown. I mean, I don't know, because Justin just had that fight with
Fiziev,
yes, and he's gonna
he's staying there. By surprise.
I wasn't expecting it either. I did think Fiziev was gonna win. I thought he was gonna win by knockout, and Justin Gaethje just goes out there and gets it done. And I guess you can't count that out ever now. You know what? I want to take a look at some of these other divisions here. So I guess staying in 155, you have Islam still there at the top, right? He has the Who does he have coming up? Does he have anyone? Is there any announcement? I don't think.
No,
No, nothing, right?
no announcement because they're waiting on seeing if they can get the Volkanovski thing again. But
No,
they,
Volkanovski's got to go deal
yeah,
with Yair.
which I think he gets done with ease, but that's just me.
Eh, yeah, Alex is such a good fighter. If he dispatches Yair like easily, it's going to be the biggest I told you so. If Yair does it, and if he's able to beat Volkanovski, then MMA math really means fucking nothing because of the Max
Yeah,
Holloway thing. Like,
I think the only thing that would have proven to me that Yair can do it is if he beat Brian Ortega and they didn't even get to fight.
right? Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, you have Benil Dariush chilling out there.
Mm.
Um, and Dariush was talking about, oh, maybe I should just move up to 170. No,
Nope.
listen, it's frustrating. And damn near every single MMA fan gets it, right? If they're paying attention, they get it. It is frustrating because you have to just watch everyone else get that shot, and they're talking about, well, what about Dustin? I don't know if Dustin. I mean, I'm sure Dustin would want the belt, but I think a money fight makes more sense for him. He's that guy. He has the fans. Any fight he does, people are going to watch.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know who you put Dustin with. You know what I mean? There's, I think Max called him out. And I think he said it respectfully too. He goes, that's the only guy I haven't fought yet. No. I'm sorry. He's talking about, oh my God. I am so messing this up, and I could have sworn it was Dustin that he was calling out, but I want to say it was someone else.
I'm trying to remember who was calling out Dustin. One of the 170ers was calling out Dustin, I want to say.
Colby.
No. I don't think it was Colby
He called him
because
out after a fight.
they did it super respectfully, and it was recent. On Twitter, somebody called out Dustin. They're like, "Hey, this fell through, but hey, Dustin, was it Gilbert Burns? Somebody was saying their fight might fall through, so if they want to come up and do a money fight at 170, let's do it." And Dustin liked the idea. I cannot remember who though.
Let's see. So, what's crazy? So I'm looking at the news right now, and this is coming out like 14 hours ago. Justin Gaethje says Dustin Poirier turned down Ultimate Fighter coaching role. Let's see.
Damn.
So Dustin Poirier said no to coaching a season of the Ultimate Fighter. 80K, so in quotes, 80K to go fucking 6 weeks away from my family. No thanks. Damn, only 80,000, huh?
That is surprising. I guarantee they're not paying Connor 80 grand.
No. I mean, well, I want to, let's see what, because 80K into 6 weeks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're still earning 13,000 a week. So it's not exactly chump change, but I get it. You know what I mean? Dustin and Gaethje, so they're both 34. Poirier last fought in November of last year, right? Going against Michael Chandler. And Michael Chandler, he's had such a tough go. Because isn't...
They threw him in immediately.
Oh my God, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, you want, like, let us give you the boogeyman Dan Hooker first. Okay. Well, now we're going to put you against Oliveira. Nope. Right? Going to put you against Gaethje. You're going to be in an absolute war and have to, like, absolutely stress your athleticism. Lost that, right? Decision. Goes against Chandler, gets the up kick. Is only in there for about 2 rounds, right? So nothing crazy. Goes in there against Poirier and loses via submission. Like, you're talking about keeping him at the top 5 the entire time, damn near. Top 10, right? Because I think Dan Hooker was maybe a little bit higher than that at the time when they fought. Maybe it was a little bit lower. I think Drew Dober has a fight coming up, right?
I believe Drew Dober has a fight
This
coming up
week.
this weekend.
Yeah. God, he's such a. Dude's built like a rock against Matt Favola.
He looks so much bigger than 155.
I don't know how he makes 155, dude. That shit blows my fucking mind every time. But so I'm gonna take a look at Matt Fravola's stats here. Has a win over Ottoman Adizar. Guys lost Terrence McKinney, Armin Saryukin. Wins against Luis Pena, Jalen Turner. That's a good win. He was definitely a Dana White Contender Series guy with the win against Jose Flores. My thing is this, is that if you're losing to guys like Armin Saryukin, Terrence McKinney, I mean, Terrence, I think, flatlined him in that fight, I want to say. I want to say that was one of like Terrence McKinney's like best fights. You're not, I don't think you're flatlining Drew Dober. Like this is a guy who flatlined. I don't think he flatlined, but he KO'd Bobby Green.
I mean, it was pretty nasty.
It was a good fucking losing, right? So he's losing to top guys: Brad Riddell, Islam Makhachev, Benil Dariush, Oliver Mercier, who just, I think he either just lost or just won the PFL $1 million. I want to say he just lost it though. No, he won. That's right. So he beat Shane Burgos.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, as soon as you say Shane Burgos, I'm like, oh okay, yeah, I remember
now. And I guess to wrap everything up, so speaking of PFL, recently there were some rumors about PFL buying Bellator. You have a lot of talent in Bellator. You have AJ McKee, you have Aaron Pico, you have the Pitbull brothers, right? Do you think this is a deal that you could see going down, and how much would this actually change the landscape of MMA?
I mean, we could just look at what happened when UFC took over Strikeforce. How many amazing fighters did we get out of that? And how many amazing fighters did we get out of that now got put on a better stage to now we know we know about them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great, and I think it's good for PFL, especially with their whole Kayla Harrison problem. Just put her up against Cyborg. Have a little fun. Get a little crazy, you know? It gives
Kayla
them more
lost,
options.
right?
Did she lose the second time?
Not a second time, but she lost that one, and I think she
Yeah.
hasn't fought since. Yeah, against Larissa Pacheco.
Yeah, they were trying to set something up, I believe, and it didn't happen. So why not? You know, if that does happen, I think that opens the door for a lot more named fighters. Being that I think the more casual fans are more familiar with names that are in Bellator as opposed to PFL, minus the former UFC fighters.
Yep.
I think it would be a great move, and I think it would help solidify and some actual competition for the UFC, because now the idea of Bellator being the main thing, and then PFL over here has like a couple things. It's like now PFL is bigger. They got the Bellator fighters. They got a bunch of UFC guys. They like it could definitely make them a bigger deal in the landscape of things, and it could set up for a lot more fan servicey fights as well, which is always the biggest drawing thing, because you give the fan service and hope that you could sprinkle in enough good stuff that those people stick around, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
So
I think the PFL. I think the PFL's women's lightweight division specifically, right? So I'm gonna let you know right now. There's only a few names I really recognize here: Julia Budd, Caitlin Young, Kayla Harrison, Larissa Pacheco, and I only know Larissa Pacheco because she beat Kayla Harrison. If I'm being honest, call me a casual. I don't give a fuck.
that's I mean, that's them
It's
just
fair,
doing
right?
their job, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
They beat the one that said They
That's
were
it. No one can be.
unbeatable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, I hope Kayla comes back and really tries to cement herself again. But okay, so I'm looking at these records, right? And you have some really experienced people. Kayla Harrison, 15-1. Larissa Pacheco, 20-4. Julia Butt, 16-6. And then I get to some of the other girls. Abigail Montez, 3-2. Jenna Fabian, 5-3. Um, Elena Kolesnik, 8-5, 0-1. I'm not sure what that last one, that last single digit number is, because I don't know what's past a draw.
Maybe a no contest.
But I like PFL's how they do it. I just wish they would focus on a weight division or two at a time and really promote the stories inside of it. And I think that was something that Bellator was really struggling with, especially against the UFC, man. Like,
Yeah.
you can't deny that the marketing machine behind the UFC is just so much stronger.
I mean, look at what they did with Alex and Izzy. Like, Jesus, man. Have people caring about, kickboxing, which casual MMA audience doesn't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wish more people would go back and watch the K1 stuff,
Yeah.
because
Like,
it's insane what some of these, like people who complain about, like, oh my god, MMA only like these guys that are hugging each other. Yeah, it's mixed martial arts. There's gonna be wrestling. There's gonna be jiu-jitsu. There's gonna be fighters that, like, their default is to, like, recover guard and then hold arm head, and it's just like, I have the end of the lever, and I'm safe here. With
yeah.
bare knuckle
It's like,
boxing, like, you can't stop that. Like, you can't stop the fucking uppercut.
yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, we have too many things that, like, I think what's his name? Is it Muhammad Usman? Like
Which?
that Usman, Kamara's brother.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. The heavyweight.
Yeah, so it's like it's a perfect example of, like, people were in for an exciting heavyweight fight. You got the Usman name behind it, and then he literally just took him down and laid on him for 2 rounds. The first round he did it for, like, he got beat up, and then 2 rounds after that he just gets laid on. That's always people's biggest complaint.
And if you
But
go
then you
and,
got Muay Thai
yeah, you
and
got
you got
Muay.
kickboxing. You don't get that.
Exact. Like, kickboxing, you know what's crazy about kickboxing versus Muay Thai is that when you throw a combination, let's say you're throwing a hand, in kickboxing you have to end with a leg kick. In Muay Thai, I mean, you could sit there and you can, like, point spar. You have your elbows. Obviously, you don't have elbows in American kickboxing specifically.
Yeah.
But Muay Thai is so fucking vicious. I mean, I'm not talking like Lethway, where these dudes can be knocked out and you give them, like, I forgot how long they're allowed to have, and they can come back and fight. That shit's crazy. But I think there's so much good to happen with the PFL if they were to buy Bellator. I think there's a lot of interesting fights you can make. You have a lot of fighters that now, instead of having to fight their way to, I mean, I'm not going to say Bellator was cheaping out. I think they were paying a lot of their decent fighters well enough, right? The guys that they were investing in. I'm sure they're same as low-end UFC, low-end Bellator is probably going to be not the greatest. And
Yeah.
you know what's
I
funny?
mean, they were outbidding the UFC for a lot of the re-signings, but they got that Viacom money behind them, so they could do that.
Yes. I just don't know how long they can keep doing that, given, like if they keep running shows out in San Jose, like the SAP arena, dude, they do that show at like 4 or 5. Have you ever tried going anywhere in San Francisco around 4 or 5 p.m.? You
I get
can't.
to live in the Bay Area. Yeah, it's bad.
It's so gridlocked that when you go and you look at the first couple fights, it's so dead in there, right? As opposed to somewhere like the Forum, where they do have events there. It's packed the entire time. I know they have the Mohegan Sun out in Connecticut, but I think that was like their COVID spot, right? Like, I'm not sure if they still have people that go there.
Not too sure. Yeah,
But
and then not even to mention the pay-per-view numbers are not
yeah,
great.
I'm not. I think Bare Knuckle's gonna have a much better time getting pay-per-views at $50 a piece, right? That was the Bare Knuckle price.
I'm not sure actually.
Way to out yourself. No, the Russian league, brother. No, no. Of course, we pay for every single fight, right?
Of course, man. That's
Oh,
the only
of
way to
course, we
do it, man.
spend thousands of dollars watching every single fight possible because we're fight fans. That's what we do. No, that being said, listen, Steven, I appreciate you doing this with me. I know we went a little bit over time, kind of went a little off schedule from the 4 or 5 topics that we wanted, but I think that's just what you get whenever you have two people that just really love MMA and really love really love just watching it. I was even talking to some of my coworkers, and they were like, "Man, like how much more do you love MMA over baseball?" And I said, "I will watch the worst MMA event possible over the worst baseball event." I'm not gonna say I would watch the worst MMA over the best baseball, because sometimes baseball is really truly like insane. But when it comes to MMA, there's the guys on the baseball field aren't exactly punching each other when something goes wrong. You know what I mean? It's like they'll pitch at each other's heads. That's wild. But no, this is this is just a sport that I think I can't even put into words how much I love it.
Yeah. And I will say a huge thing for me, just as far as MMA love goes, I have bonded more over MMA with friends than like any other sport I've seen. And it's not, I love it because MMA, sure, we get like into like these little like arguments and everything, but it's like, dude, the tribalism in like major sports and everything that is not, that's like not the same in MMA. Like, we're fans of certain fighters and everything, but it doesn't turn into like, man, I hate that guy.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's like the whole thing where it's like we could be fighting each other over like the fights and stuff like that, and be like, no, that's fucking stupid, da 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 da, and then someone's gonna come and be like, MMA fucking sucks, and then we're just gonna like be like, oh yeah, fucking
Yeah.
that
And then the other big thing for me, dude,
yeah.
COVID happened, all of us are locked up, entertainment's low. We're like, we don't have much to do. A lot of people are struggling, dude. I felt like during that, I feel like MMA had our back.
Yes,
We had events all the time going on.
Dana specifically.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. Freaking UFC International Fight Week had 3 events in the same week, and they
I
were
mean,
all
they had to take
bangers.
place. They had to take place in Saudi Arabia,
Sure, but they
but
had our
still,
back.
they still made it happen. And you know what?
Yeah.
And the fighters were all saying like they made us feel amazing. Like the fighters that they really liked, they really really liked them. But
Yeah.
do you remember the amount of shit Dana got from every single news station? Like, they thought this
Yeah.
dude was the fucking antichrist because he wanted to put on sport, when the original point of sport was to ease the commoner's mind off of all the crazy shit that happened. You know what I mean? And when during COVID, like you said, it felt like this nice fucking blanket where you're like, I know that, like, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I do know that there's a fucking fight on Saturday, and this unknown guy, I don't know who he is yet. His name is Hamzat or something. Kamzat, I don't know, but he's gonna fight twice in a week or something. Like that was mind blowing, right? So I think that being said, listen, if you love MMA content as much as us, and you want to continue talking about MMA as much as us, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, whatever you want to do to help support. It really does help us out. If you want all the up-to-date stuff from day to day, go ahead, follow the TikToks, go ahead, follow the Instagrams. I think that's really only where we're going to be applying our efforts just for now, just because anything more than 3 split between everyone is just going to be too much. We are planning for some interviews. I have some pro fighters, some amateur fighters, some guys that are some MMA coaches coming along, and pretty soon a new component that both myself and Steven are talking about, that we want to introduce. It's going to be so much. So that being said, thank you so much again, Steven, popping in. Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you on the next one.
See ya.